What do you get when you let a factory specializing in Japanese automotive legends do what they do best? Like weaponizing a family hatchback with adaptive dampers and 4-piston Brembo brakes. Sprinkling some aerodynamic trickery straight out of an import tuner catalog. And how about all of it being powered by one of the greatest 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engines ever made? You get this. A hatchback as wide as a Corvette, yet more practical than some compact SUVs. A grocery hauler that's faster around Nürburgring than any other front-wheel drive production car at the time. And what many refer to as the best hot hatch on the market today.
There it is, the engine of every boy racer's dreams. Earth dreams, that is. Under the hood, we have the intercooled 2-liter turbocharged engine pushing out 306 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. All of this is paired to a 6-speed manual, and with the mechanical slip differential up front, this baby goes from 0 to 60 miles an hour in, depending on the journalistic source, somewhere between 5 to 5.5 seconds. Not bad for a car that's based on your mama's grocery getter. Really good. As you can already tell, the car is not new, and it's been some places. I'm sure it has seen a few track days as well. It's also not stock either. Up front, we have the Takeda intake. We have the aftermarket wheels, the 18-inch fast wheels instead of the factory 20s, which makes a lot more sense. I would do the exact same on my Type R. Get a smaller wheel, get some thicker sidewall on those tires for some cushier ride. But, I mean, the tires that are on right now have quite stiff sidewalls, so that didn't help much either. We also have the Catback 3-inch HKS exhaust system that, for legal purposes, I will not disclose the details of it. All I can say is there isn't much restriction in the exhaust flow. It's also the bane of my existence and straight up migraine fuel. It is so loud and so rattly on the inside. Every time I accelerate, I feel my entire body vibrate. Not from the vibration from the road, not from the engine vibration, no. It's that kind of vibration. You know that kind of vibration. Whoever had a car with a loud aftermarket exhaust, they know the vibration, especially in a Honda. And your eyeballs are vibrating in your sockets. Yeah, it wouldn't be my exhaust of choice at all. If we look above the exhaust area, we'll see about a dozen of wings and flaps and teeth, and it's horrendous, is what it is. However, Honda claims that it is all functional, and which is fantastic, and the car does perform exceptionally well. And Honda does swear that all these wings are for aerodynamic purposes only, and these wings do actually produce some significant and considerable downforce for the car's performance. The vents are fake, as on the Civic hatchback. I know there's a way to make it look better while functional. Case in point, the next Civic Type R that I cannot wait for, and I am ready to put my money on the table, take my money, Honda. If you give me this that looks like that with the new interior, take my money. And since we're already out back, why don't we check out the trunk as well? And it is expectedly large and very, very practical. About the same capacity as the Civic hatch. It is amazing how much stuff you can put in here. And honestly, this trunk with the hatch, it makes it such a practical daily driver. And this is one of the things that Type R actually shines at, is being a very practical and reasonably comfortable, to an extent, daily driver, and also be able to hoon in the back roads. The Civic Type R looks a lot better up front though. Everything just makes a bit more sense. These, well, except maybe these big fake intakes that are only functional for, I don't know, 20-30% of them, and the rest is just solid plastic. But at least the language itself, the design language, makes perfect sense. It takes what the regular Civic hatch is and just widens it and beefs it up and just makes it a little bit more, well, a lot more aggressive actually, but it gives it a wider stance and a bit more presence, which I really do like. And we also have a functional hood scoop as well. Because the Type R needed wider wheels and wider tires for performance purposes, of course, the bodywork had to be widened. And as we can see, we have some wider flares that in the back look really tacked on and look really, they look a bit too aftermarket that I don't like. I don't like this at all. It's a bit better integrated in the front. We have the entire fender that is flared out. We also have the air duct to allow the hot air to escape from the wheel well. So at least that's functional. As far as this is really just to cover up the width of the rear wheel, and yeah, not my favorite aspect. But things get a lot better on the interior. For the most part, this is your typical 10th gen Civic interior with some touches here and there. Some of the amazing things that they kept is this center console with 2 cup holders and a lot of space, a lot of storage, except this time it is wrapped in nice suede and it feels a bit more upscale and feels so much nicer on your arm as well. And yeah, this one does not exfoliate my elbow as the base trim did. We also have this fake carbon fiber trim that looks aftermarket. It doesn't look that great, but it also fits with the mood of the car. It fits with the spirit of the car. Pretty much everywhere you'll look, there will be a red accent. We have red seat belts and some red accents on the steering wheel that look very goofy on the pictures, but in person they make a bit more sense. We have the aluminum ball shifter. We also kept the wireless charger for the phone and your standard 2018 Civic infotainment. Not much to say about that. I do wish that they had the more button controls for the HVAC system, because if you want to change the flow or the direction of the flow of the AC, you do have to press climate button and then go into the touch screen, and it's all touchscreen, unfortunately. Additionally, this is the generation of Civic before the volume knob, so the buttons on the side are touchscreen, which miss me with that. And of course, I have to talk about the elephant in the room. These red performance bucket seats. They are more comfortable than they look. If anything, as soon as I got in, it really reminded me of my gaming chair. Hear me out. Not the gaming chair with 2 pillows, one for lumbar, one for neck. No. I'm talking about proper high quality gaming chair. At home I have a Secret Lab Titan gaming chair. It doesn't have the pillow, it has proper lumbar support, and it is fantastic for your posture. And honestly, I think if you're gonna spend a lot of time driving this car, there isn't much room to like slouch, or if you're on a long trip or slide your pelvis forward. If you're getting uncomfortable, these seats actually are fantastic at keeping you in place, both laterally and vertically, obviously, of course, and they are just great for keeping a good posture. Honestly, I really like them. Unfortunately, they don't allow for heated seats or cooled seats because, performance seats, but it is what it is. The seats are great. I really like the seats. As this is the Type R, we do get 3 driving modes. As soon as you start the car, it will automatically put you in sport mode. That is the default. But sport mode is already reasonably compliant to ride, and it's not the harshest of modes, and you can comfortably daily drive this in sport mode as well. And that is really the biggest beauty of the Type R, is that it is reasonably compliant and reasonably comfortable. It's not going to be as comfortable as a regular Civic hatchback. It is firmer, but also it is a pretty easy car to drive, both in the transmission sense and the clutch sense and the suspension sense. As far as comfort mode, things get a little bit better. This throttle response is not as aggressive. It gets even softer, even more gradual, and things get a little bit better from there. The steering response is not as sharp, it's not as tight. The steering wheel lightens up as well in comfort mode, and also the suspension gets a bit softer. And then we obviously have the R mode. Everything just gets cranked up to 11, and that's where you get the stiffer suspension, the very heavy steering wheel, very precise steering wheel, very aggressive throttle response. That's where things get a bit more interesting. In some of the, I believe, 2020 and up Civic Type Rs, in R Plus mode, you get the fake pumped-in engine sound. Now, in this particular Civic, we don't have that issue. In the gauge cluster, it is very similar to a regular Civic, except we get some different lights, some different colors depending on the mode. The R Plus mode makes everything red, so you don't really notice if you daily drive this, to be honest. It's on the initial, and then I completely forgot about any of the changing colors. But other than that, we get some of the performance pages, and we get some boost gauges, lap timers, and that's basically it. Other than that, it's a standard Civic gauge cluster. And before we move to the back seat, don't get that excited, I do want to tell you one useless bit of information, but a fun fact nonetheless. These Civic Type Rs that we get in Canada and North America are actually not built in the US. They're not built in Canada either, not even Japan. They're actually built in Swindon, England. Make with that information what you want. Now in the back, we do get plenty of space. We have that Civic hatchback headroom and leg room. It is a truly spacious place back here. It's perfectly adequate for 4 adults. The reason I'm saying 4 adults, unfortunately, this is not a 5-seater anymore. I don't understand the reason for why they did it this way. We only have 4 seats, and in the middle, instead of the armrest, we get the plastic insert with 2 cup holders and a little cubby for storage. It's kind of disappointing because this could have been a 5-seater. I'm assuming they did this for weight savings, but at the same time, I don't know if this was worth the weight savings. I would personally rather have a 5-seater over 20 pounds, 30 pounds of weight savings. But that's just me. Right, now let's see if the Civic Type R actually lives up to its hype. And the hype is overwhelming. It's all-encompassing, and that can kill one's experience of the car, unfortunately. But we'll see if it actually lives up to it. All right, let's start it up. Ugh, this exhaust, man. Damn it. Now, if I may, if you excuse me, I think this will make my life a little bit easier. Just a little bit. Electronic parking brake off. Alright, lock the door for safety purposes. First gear. The way it pulls is just intoxicating, honestly. It has so much power for the platform. This is great. The pedals are nice and close. I'm gonna be honest with you, this exhaust ruins everything for me. Well, okay, that's a little bit extreme. Not everything. I'm still thoroughly enjoying the car, but I cannot really assess the daily drivability of this Type R on the basis of the sound, because in a lot of reviews, while I was doing all my research, in a lot of reviews, the Civic Type R is kind of known to be the quieter of the bunch, the less noisy of the of the lineup. And well, this kind of kills all of those allegations completely. This basically brings it to the opposite end of the equation. But you know what? Even despite the sound, I am thoroughly enjoying myself. I have a migraine here and there, but when you put the foot down, oh my god, the way it pulls, man. This car is dangerous, let me tell you why. This Type R, it just constantly eggs you on to give a little bit more, to push a little harder. It wants you to be a hooligan. It wants you to misbehave. The handling, the sharp steering, it wants you to do sinful things to it at all times. And you don't feel the speed nearly as much as in a lot of other cars. This car really hides the speed too well. I was on the highway and I was just about to get into it, and I was just starting to give it a little bit, and then I look at the speedometer and I was already going speeds that in the province of Ontario could get your car impounded and your license suspended for a month. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword in a way, because it really makes you feel like a very good driver. And that's a dangerous feeling if you aren't a good driver. And also it's a dangerous feeling in the sense that it will just, you'll be taking corners faster. You will be driving faster on average. And that is a bit dangerous. Now, these tires are they're not the freshest, so we do get quite a bit of slip in the first two gears. It truly is intoxicating the way this car drives, and the precision, the level of control that you feel. And the problem is, there's a big problem, is driving this Type R around, even on the back roads. I don't think I'm even grazing the limits of its performance, the limits of its handling. Not even close. I'm loving the shift lights that are in my dash. Oh my god. Oh. Oh my god, man. Seriously. No, man. No. This is not usable daily driving power at all. This is, wow. This is, it's not insane, but it is fast. It really is genuinely fast. The way it pulls, this feels faster than 5.2 seconds 0 to 60. This feels faster than that. And the way it pulls, oh man, the way the turbo feels too, it's just so much linear power and grunt and pull. I want to take this to a racetrack. I really do. I think this would shine on a racetrack, not on public roads, not with cars. As I've already mentioned, the way the Type R handles is so bloody intoxicating, because it gives you so much confidence to do the speeds that you wouldn't usually be doing in most other cars. Ooh. Okay, the tires are not the freshest, so we did get some understeer, but you put a fresh set of rubber on this and you can carve up the mountain roads at the speeds that you wouldn't even think were possible in a front-wheel drive car, especially not in a Civic. Oh, this is a thing of beauty. I do want to point out that when you put it in even sport mode or comfort mode, it's a very reasonable daily. My butt's pretty comfortable. I have good posture going through and maintained. It's reasonably compliant. The gearbox honestly makes it very easy to drive it on a daily basis and very easy to engage. The clutch engagement is nice and easy, nice and smooth. The clutch is light. Honestly, I wouldn't have any issues driving this on a daily basis. Now that my day with the Civic Type R comes to an end, I want to say that I understand. I get it. I totally get it. It makes sense to me now. The hype, the way the journalists are always drawn to it over and over and over again, how this is regarded to as the best hot hatch on the market today. And I would have to agree with them. This car is one of those few vehicles in today's market that does so many things well. Civic Type R is practical. Civic Type R can be comfortable, reasonably comfortable if you want it to be. You can be a good daily driver even. And it can even be quiet if you need it to in stock form. And the way, the kind of performance that you're getting for the money is absolutely incredible. Speaking of the cost, because of the craziness that's going on in the market, the used Type Rs are going for $10,000 over MSRP right now. That is absolute foolishness. A Civic Type R is not a good $55,000 car. It is a very good $40,000 car, $45,000 car, not 55 grand that some of the dealers are asking for it. If you buy a Type R 55 grand, sorry to break it to you. This particular Civic, even though it had a couple shortcomings, front tires are a bit on the bolder side, so they didn't grip as well as I know a Civic Type R can. So there's a bit of understeer here and there. And the HKS exhaust, whew, despite a pounding headache, I'm walking away from the Civic Type R with a giant grin on my face. And with that said, I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.